my friends. Welcome back to another Photoshop Creative Challenge. My name is Idara Ekpoh. If you have not seen me, if you don't know who I am a portrait photographer based in Phoenix, Arizona, and I have missed y'all. I feel like I have not streamed in so long, so this is so exciting. So what is up, y'all? Please drop where you are joining from in the chat. I always love to connect with y'all. I see y'all already are in here. I'm really, really excited to talk about headshots. We are literally in 2025, and y'all, I cannot even believe that it is 2025. That is insane. So new year, new headshots. And so we're going to be talking about how to create creative headshots. So we do have a link to our starter file in the description box, so you can go ahead and head there. I believe our mods will drop the link in case you need access to that. And we're going to go ahead and switch over to my screen because we don't have much time. And we got a little bit of information I want to share with y'all about how I like to go about creating and editing my creative headshots. Now, you will notice that you have this portrait that I included in the starter file. It is a portrait that I found on Adobe Stock. Shout out to Adobe Stock. Reason why is because I was not ready nor comfortable sharing my personal headshot that I just recently took. So I wanted to just add this on here as an example of what a creative headshot can look like. And some of the specific assets I'm going to be going over, you can implement over on this headshot just to kind of practice before going out and taking your own. So I want to give that disclaimer here because, you know, that's not me. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my headshot, and I will be referencing back these two. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about what I believe a creative headshot to even be. So for me, if you know me and you know my work, I love color. And so anywhere that I can make something feel colorful and very bold, that is what kind of separates a traditional headshot from a creative headshot. I try to find ways that I can kind of show my style and who I am as an artist through my headshot. So for me, the biggest thing always ends up being color, right? So you'll see even in this portrait that I gave to you guys from Adobe Stock, you have the yellow turtleneck on the pink background. I love that. I love how the colors just work really well together. In this case of mine, I have a blue dress that I'm wearing with a purple backdrop. And a lot of that has to do with color theory and, you know, understanding how colors work together. So I wanted to just quickly just talk about this real briefly, because I think this is a huge element to just how I like to create, is paying attention to colors and how colors work together, and not just picking two random colors, right? I could have worn, you know, a black top and done it on a white background, and that would have been cool. But we want to, you know, spice things up. It is 2025. So I love to pay attention to color relationships. So you have primary, complementary, analogous, triadic, all these different types of color relationships that you can utilize as a tool when kind of in that pre-production stage, when you're planning what color you want to wear, the backdrop you want to shoot on. You can really focus on how colors work together and understand how the color wheel is going to work to really strengthen your photo. So that is something that I wanted to do here. So you'll see that like a pink and yellow backdrop color combination works really there. A like primary complementary, color relationship. And then my blue and purple backdrop is more of that kind of analogous. They're right next to the color wheel here with the blue and purple. So that is my first step to when creating my headshots. It's just kind of figuring out what color do I really want to speak. And right now I'm going through a stage of branding, and part of my branding is this purple and blue tones. So I figured why not incorporate that into the headshot. All right, cool. So we talked about that. The first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I want to get rid of this kind of ceiling that you see here. So I'm going to come here, get my lasso tool. And I always, of course, duplicate my background. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, generate fill, and generate that. And this will ultimately be cropped in. I'm just going to keep it as is for now, but it will be later on cropped in. So we're going to let that go ahead and do its thing. Perfect. And then if you guys have any questions, whether you are on YouTube or Behance, please be sure to drop your questions. I am checking out the chat right now, so I will be sure to kind of make sure I don't miss anything. Cool, perfect. So we've done that. I'm going to go ahead and merge these two files because why not? All right, and I'm going to make one more duplicate so I have that there. All right, perfect. So now I'm not gonna go into the tedious of like doing like skin editing and things of that nature. I would come in here and take care of some blemishes. I'm also not gonna zoom in because y'all don't need to see all that. So I do like to come in and just like, especially because it is my hair, you know, I like to come in and clean up some areas if I can. There are some little gaps that you see in here when it comes to my hair that I just want to slightly fill. So I'm going to use generated fill to do that. Let's go ahead and zoom in just a little bit so you guys can see that before and after. And I like my hair to feel full, okay? I like my hair to feel full. I'm gonna also use the liquefy tool so that way I can just kind of add a little bit of volume at the top and then we'll kind of be done. We'll be done with hair there. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Let's see if I can close this. That little gap that's there as well. So again, I am using generated fill, just trying to see where I can fill up some gaps that I do or do not like and seeing what I can do there. So that is fine there. There is a cutout on my dress here that cool, it's nice. It's nice when I'm standing up. When I'm sitting down, it just looks like, you know, excess fabric. It looks like I teared my dress. So I'm gonna close that up. You won't see it in the final headshot, but at least just in case I decide to use a wider shot for any reason, I can at least close that up. Let's see what looks the best. Let's just keep that first one. So there we go. So I'm gonna go ahead, close that. I'm gonna group this. And I'm gonna say Gen Fill. So that is the before and after, just going ahead and cleaning that aspect up. Next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I wanna add a little bit of volume at the top of my hair. So I'm going to do two things. I'm gonna duplicate that, hide it for now, merge these two layers. So that way I have that copy there. Then I'm gonna come in here to filter, liquefy, use my liquefy tool. I like to use this a lot for hair when I can just kind of come in here and just add a little bit of volume, you know, just nobody needs to know, okay? I didn't go to the salon, I did this myself. So I just want to kind of do a little, not too much, but if I press okay, and I go ahead and show you that before and after, you can kind of already see what that looks like there as well. So we've took care of like filling in some gaps, took care of my hair, and now I'm going to show you guys probably my favorite part when it comes to editing my headshots. Now, one of the things I really, really love to do is I love to add gradients to my background, just to see how I can play around with the color and really just change it. Let's see. I was wondering about the dress. Oh, whether the dress cut was intentional or left. So yeah, the dress cut is intentional. Like, so when you stand up, it's a cute little, you know, moment, but when I sit down, it is not. So I don't want it. I wanted to remove it. So that's why I wanted to do that. It's intentional in the actual dress, but that's why I removed it, because it looks like I just ripped my dress. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and add gradients. And this is something that you can also do on this practice photo as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna duplicate this background. I'll do it here real quickly. I'm gonna select my subject and let AI go ahead and do that for me. It's not a clean selection because obviously her hair, but that is okay for now. I'm gonna do Command-Shift-I on my Mac so I can invert my layer. Then I'm gonna come over here and click on my gradient tool. I love the gradient tool because I think it's just a really great way to just add a little bit of more just pizzazz to your photo. And so you have a number of different color options that are already here. And then you also have like the different types of gradients. In this case, I'm gonna use the radial gradient and I'm gonna, let's see, I'm gonna go to the pinks or purples. Ooh, okay. And I'm gonna go ahead and drag this out. Actually, I don't want that white there. I'm gonna make this. All right, cool. So as you see, before I add this, okay. As I dragged it out, it added that gradient on there for me automatically. Would you lighten the dark areas of your hair? Lighten the dark areas of my hair. What do you mean, Ray? Would you lighten the dark areas of my hair? Like, do you mean like up here? Like the darker areas in my hair? I don't know. Please clarify. I'm sorry if I'm not understanding that correctly. Okay, cool. So I'm adding this gradient to my background. You'll see that all I did was pick the color I wanted, and then I'm using the radial gradient because I just like the way that it like fits with the color in the center and how it changes color as you kind of expand in the photo. Now you'll see here that you can add a second or third color in the middle if you would like to. So if you just kind of click on the line, you can add another color if you would like. So if I wanted to add in maybe more of like a pinkish, let's see, like a blue. I don't want to add that blue because of her hair and I didn't make a clean selection. So I do want it to stay kind of similar to what like blend into what was there before. But let's say that was what I wanted to do. That's the before and that's the after. And then if it was too much, I could reduce the fill and whatnot and just kind of play around with the colors in that sense. So I'm going to take that same idea with this photo as well. I'm going to click select subject, and then Command-Shift-I, so I can go ahead and invert the layer. I'm going to come here. I'm going to look at what other options I have for my purpose. I like to just start off with what they provide you just because it just is easier for me. And so I'm going to go ahead and I like that color combination. I'm going to stay on, and actually I'll also show you all. Oh. Program error. Oh no, what is going on? Okay, let's get off of that. Come back here. Oh, okay. Let's deselect. And let's try that again. You know, sometimes it feels like, okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and select subject again. Command-Shift-I, come here with the gradient. Okay, could not complete your request because of program error. What did I do, you guys? I don't know what I did. Well, I guess I'll stay here because it worked over here and I don't know what I did on my actual headshot. I'll show you guys the final version of one of my headshots. But yes, you can go ahead and add a gradient in the background. I just really like how it just kind of adds a bit more, like almost, it's just a color preference for me. So if you wanted to, I could also play around with this more. Maybe if I didn't like the outside color and I want it to be a little bit darker, I could do that. If I wanted to change it to like, I don't know, more of a fuchsia color, or like even this like yellow. I don't like that yellow to pink in the center, but you could really play around and have a lot of possibilities in regards to the colors that you are adding into your photo. Let's see. And if anybody knows why I'm having that issue, please, because I'm not sure. Okay, my Photoshop was not embarrassing me before this call, and I feel like it wants to embarrass me now. Okay, cool. So let's try this again. Deselect. I don't want to come make. It's not even letting me use the gradient tool in general. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I'm not using the paint button. I'm using gradient. Learn how to fix. Yep, of course it's gonna do that. Let's just leave that for now. All right, so we'll come back to my headshot and we'll talk about the final version of it. Make sure there's no questions. I think we're good in the chat. The shadow areas, like the darker shadows of your hair. Okay, all right, that's also good. So like the darker areas where I try to lighten it up. If I wanted to, I actually could. One of the things I often like to do, and I probably can, maybe since I can't do the gradient on this photo, I can at least show you all how I like to lighten, darken certain aspects of my photos. I tend to use like the dodging and burning method. And I will go ahead and I'll open up my curves layer and I will make one layer that is a little bit darker and invert that. And then make one more layer, curves again, and lighten that. Not too much, Shami, not too much. And then invert it. Then I can go ahead and come in here, grab my paintbrush, make sure that it's on white, have my, so this one, it was, I believe, dodging. No, this was burn, I think. So that was darker. Those are my, that's not how you spell dodge. Okay, cool. Burn and dodging. So I'm gonna come in here. If I wanted to lighten certain areas left, thank you, Robert, for the time left. Oh my goodness, 6 minutes. Okay. I like to keep my flow low, my opacity kind of low depending. I'm gonna leave it there so you guys can at least see what I'm doing. And as I'm coming in here and lightening certain areas, you probably can't see it immediately. Let me zoom in a little bit. You see that before and after, how I can lighten those areas. So I could come in here if I wanted like more highlights and more detail in my hair, I could come and do that. Sometimes I like to do it on where the light already is naturally hitting. So if you see where the light is already naturally hitting on my face and on my hair, where like the highlights are really like apparent, I like to go over there. And then sometimes in the areas where the light is, where the shadows naturally fall, I can come in here and fill those gaps in as well. I do the same around my face. I'll dodge aspects of my face, highlight and whatnot. And this is what I would do after I would do my like skin retouching as well. So I haven't done any skin retouching, so no, not too much on me, okay? We got a little bumps here and there, but you know, in the final product, you won't see that. So that would be like the dodging and burning if I wanted to kind of like highlight and emphasize certain areas. So that's the before and after there. Coolio. All right. I'm gonna come back out. And then the next thing I wanna show you guys is just some basic edits that I could do on this photo, because I've not even edited this photo. The only thing I did do, this photo originally was in Lightroom, and I do like to add my color profile. I believe on this one I added, and I shot on Canon, so I added the Canon Vivid color profile, and then I exported it and sent it over to Photoshop. So that was the only thing that I did, because I really wanted the colors to be a little bit more saturated and just strong. So I can come in here and start to do some color correcting and color grading. So I'll start with the reds, and the reds are really impacting my skin more so. So I don't want to be too Oompa Loompa like, just, you know, we want to have some color, but we don't want to look Oompa Loompa, you know? All right, so that is, let me bring this to the top. Before and after, very, very subtle, to be honest. Then I can come in here, go to my cyans. I believe the cyans will probably impact my dress. So if I want to make the blue in my dress a bit more vivid, or if I want to change the aspect of that color a little bit as well, I could do that. I like it to be, I want it to be really vibrant. Let's fall there. And then I'm gonna create another layer. I didn't need to, but I like to keep track of my colors if I can. So I'll say cyan. I'll say magenta for this one. Is that how you spell magenta? Magenta. So I'm gonna go to my magentas, and that's gonna impact the purple in my backdrop. So if I want it to be a little bit more vivid, I could do that as well. This is why I really wanted to add the gradient, because once you're able to do that to the gradient, it like eats. It really does a great job. And I'm gonna try this gradient one more time because I'm not understanding what I did. Okay, no problem. It doesn't want to work today. That is fine. So we're gonna go back to this example, and I'm gonna show you guys what you can do here. So if I come here, and again, going back to my selective color, magentas, I can again impact and edit those colors further, which is really nice. So if I wanted it to look, ooh, that looks really beautiful. So let's group these two together so you guys can see how this is for our background. Before and after. So you can really impact your backdrops and the color in a number of different ways, whether that's adding gradients. Even with adding the gradients, you can take it a step further with playing around with selective color to really tackle those colors a bit further. I like the gradients because I just really love that soft, like glowy effect that it adds. So you can see what our subject here, like it was already kind of there in some aspects, but it's a little bit more emphasized with the glow being around her hair here and then kind of falling into the rest of the color on the rest of the backdrop. So I really love the way that that looks. So we're gonna go ahead and come back here. And what I wanted to kind of show you guys as well are just examples of why it is important to take new headshots. I personally love to take new headshots every year just because, one, it's a new year. It feels good to do. So that's the reason why I love to take new headshots, but also you can use them for a number of different reasons. I love to use them for social media platforms. So right now I'm trying to create a new headshot that I can use for social media, whether that be like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, a profile picture. If I wanted also to update my LinkedIn, I could also do that as well. So this is one of the versions of the headshots that I did already edit. And I went ahead and kind of put it in a square so I could see what it would look like as a headshot or as a profile picture on any of my social media platforms. Or I could also like, one of the goals I have this year, y'all, is I want to start a YouTube channel. So I am working on different variations of what a banner could look like on YouTube as well. If I have a really nice headshot that I want to include in the banner and maybe a different profile picture, I could do that as well. It could be on my LinkedIn. It could be, really, those are the two cases. And this is something that you can either create in Photoshop, or I made this in Adobe Express. So I would say Express is probably the quickest and easiest way to do so, just because you have templates already made for you, and they already kind of, you just type in YouTube banner and it pops up and it'll create the template for you, give you some options if you need some creative direction, and then you can kind of go in. I am working on, currently I have a friend that is doing my branding. So I'll have like a new logo and things of that nature that I really want to kind of incorporate and kind of announce with a new channel, post on my social media. So that's being able to collaborate and show how that, new logo will look like on my photo. This is not it. This is just a random text that I picked, is what the goal would essentially be. But even though I wasn't able to do it here, I did want to emphasize that I did kind of change the color a little bit. It's still very similar, but I added a little bit of that white glow in the background. And again, that purple and blue combination just sits so well. So I really want to encourage you guys to really focus on color. You really want to make sure that when you're shoot it, and maybe you're not a colorful person like I am, and that's also okay, but I feel like just ways that you can straighten your photo and take things from looking okay to really spectacular is finding ways that you can just be a little bit more intentional. So color is a huge aspect that I would love to cover and do a lot of. When editing your headshots, you can use the liquify tool like we talked about to kind of edit aspects of your hair if you want to add a little bit more volume and take care of it, just kind of adding a little bit more like just volume in your hair. Also, generative fill is really great. We talked about that a little bit because I had some aspects that I did not like in this photo, which I will zoom in a little bit just to show you guys again. That was the before. We had some gaps in my hair, the cut in my dress that I didn't feel like was appropriate, and just being able to use generative fill to fill that up. That was quickly and easily done. And then coming in, editing the cyans, the magentas. You could also come in, another thing that I like to do as well is, let me zoom out slightly. I know we have about 2 minutes left. I'm gonna come in and you go back to selective color again, bring this towards the tops. I'm gonna type blacks here because that's another thing that I like to really focus on. I love to edit my blacks in my photos, which is just the shadows in your photos as well. So I can come in here and add a little bit, remove a little bit of the cyans, add some color in there if I wanted to. I really like how that feels. Ooh, I'll add a little blue. I like that like faded look it's giving, and then I just go back in it and reduce the opacity because sometimes it's a little bit too much and we don't want it to be too much, but just enough. I'm gonna zoom in so hopefully you guys can see what I am doing. That is before and that is after. So again, I think it just kind of adds a little bit more of richness into your blacks, and just being able to add some color there. It takes it from just being very like meh to a little bit more rich. So I really love to do that as well. Checking the chat. Do you guys have any questions for me? I hope that you all are taking new headshots or just also kind of get an idea of what you want your visual vision to be for the year of 2025. And so especially as a creative, what are your creative goals? I love to start off with a headshot because it just makes me focus on just starting fresh and makes it, and it's also really nice to kind of document and show how I've looked each year and going into a new creative year. So I really want to encourage y'all to do that. I really do hope that you enjoyed today's creative challenge. Please utilize the headshot that I put into the starter files. You can play around with that. The other thing that you can do is, we talked about generative fill, but I did not go over generative expand. So if you wanted to expand this photo in Photoshop, you can do so as well by just expanding out the outer corners. So that way it could also be utilized for YouTube, LinkedIn, etc. if you didn't want to use Adobe Express. But I would say use Adobe Express to do all that because that's a lot easier. So thank you guys so much. Please stay tuned. I believe we have Jacob Phillips next with the video creative challenge, and I will see y'all there in the chat. And I'm really excited to see what is up to next and what's coming on. So I will see you guys later, and thank you guys again. Bye.